Nguyen, and today I will be presenting an issue about the global response and impact regarding to eutrophication. But before I begin, I want to share a few things about myself. I'm a rising senior at Westfield High School and I live in Centerville, Virginia. Some of my extracurriculars are I'm the president of the Environmental Protection Club, or EPC for short, and the secretary of the Pre-Med Club. I'm also in the school's girls' tennis team. Over the weekends, I participate in my church choir and continue to write children's stories, which I am currently writing one. A future plan that I have is to focus on a medical career related to oncology or neurology. And of course, I aspire to find solutions to climate change problems. Here's a quick overview of the current state of the climate change according to the World Health Organization. This proves that climate issues need to be taken more seriously in the public health globally. Ever since I was a little girl, I remember learning about eutrophication vividly because of how strange it was. I couldn't believe that pristine bodies of water can turn into green, googly mess. Eutrophication can be defined as the excess concentration of nutrients in our water that leads to formation of large algae blooms, which are those green substances. Let's dig deeper to what causes eutrophication. The most common nutrients causing eutrophication are nitrogen and phosphorus. That these pollutants get carried by runoff from agricultural land like households and industries into our water. Because of these chemicals, most people would relate the results to only environmental impacts. However, these environmental impacts can heavily affect our global health, such as being in contact with contaminated sources in which they provide a medium for microbial growth and the spread of diseases among individuals. To show some statistics, here it is the context of global health. Data taken by a couple years ago show that the regions of Asia and the Pacific have more lakes and reservoirs with eutrophication problems than Europe, Africa, and the Americas. And because of eutrophication, Lake Victoria in Africa has become turbid to the point that brightly colored fish species cannot see each other clearly enough, and they have begun to interbreed, which can cause a decrease in fitness in the offspring. And this spread has led to the loss of approximately 50% of the fish habitat since the 1960s that limit food supplies to support daily needs. Because of this major issue, my partner and I did a year-long research on this topic for a regional science fair. Our hypothesis was compared to the three chemicals that we tested: fluorotannins or brown seaweed extract, sophrolipids or candida yeast, and nanocolopsis or live phytoplankton. We inferred that barley straw extract in our water samples would be the most effective in clearing the algae and restoring good water quality. We started by going to our nearby streams to collect 1,125 milliliters of water and used a Sechi dish to evaluate the transparency of the source of the water. We then divided the water evenly between each of the 45 petri dishes so that each dish has 25 milliliter of water, so 9 petri dishes per levels of IV. We used a pipette to carefully drop 1 gram of live phytoplankton, 2 grams of brown seaweed extract, 6.25 milliliters of barley straw extract, and 2 grams of crushed Candida bombicola yeast into each of its 9 petri dishes, and the rest of the dishes are for the control. To measure the pH, we use limits paper from a scale of 1 to 14, and to measure the amount of total dissolved solids, TDS, in ppm, we used a TDS probe. Lastly, we accounted for 5 total sets of data, so 1 set of data per each 4 days increments. Here are our collected results. In context, the optimum range for pH in an aquatic environment is 6.5 to 8.5. The substance that stayed the most steady in its pH level is nanocolopsis, followed by barley straws, and then lipids, and finally fluorotannins. This is for TDS. The optimum level for dissolved solids in lakes and streams is between 50 to 250 ppm. The substance that stayed the most steady is fluorotannins, average around 280 to 450 ppm, followed by barley straw extract, average around 250 to 570 ppm, and finally the control, average around 360 to 410 ppm. Here is our quantitative data in forms of a spreadsheet. The colors correlate to each of the following levels of IV. And these are the pictures we took to keep as our qualitative data. To conclude this research, as we hypothesized, barley straw extracts would be the substance that showed the most positive effect, because it was the substance that is actually widely used and acknowledged as a tool to prevent the growth of algae in many parts of the world. However, because of this growing constructions and conditions of eutrophication based on different areas of the world, all substances show no toxic effects as shown by the acute toxicity test, and they are inexpensive, and they have no detrimental environmental consequences if used in proper amounts, because they are organic substances. This proves the idea that we need to raise social awareness, like consuming less meat to reduce demand for livestock, or purchasing soaps and detergent that do not contain phosphate, and the growth of further research and advancement of technology to increase treatment availability, either by treating already infected individuals or managing the environment to stop pre-existing contaminated waters from harming more individuals. I believe that through all of these, we can finally check eutrophication off of our climate change list. Here are the references that I've used. If you have any questions regarding to anything I went over, please feel free to email me through this email. To close this off, thank you to my friend and research buddy, Sporty, and everyone for listening.